Live from the I-10 corridor, it's the Dave Nemo Show.
The Gang of Three. Joining us on the program this morning from Crete and Schaefer, Tim Aschoff, of course, is going to be with us, along with owner-operator Russ Dillon. We're going to find out why, how, and when Russ became an owner-operator, and how's it been going so far, and what maybe the future kind of looks like. And Issac Phillips is going to be joining us, too. He's Crete's director of the owner-operator program. The Gang of Three from Crete coming on in just a little bit as we continue into this Tuesday. Well, of course, Tim Aschoff is with us here on the program this morning from Crete Schaefer. And Tim, good morning.
Good morning, Dave. It's a great day here at Crete and Schaefer. We've plowed through January, and we're going to ignore whatever the groundhog says, and we're ready for moving into spring.
Well, forget about Punxsutawney Phil. He don't know what he's talking about. General Beauregard Lee, PhD, in Atlanta says in early spring we're going with Bo. We're going with Bo.
I'm going with Bo, too.
Well, I mentioned the Gang of Three, and I'd like you to maybe do a quick introduction for Russ and Issac, and then we're going to kind of drill into what these guys are doing.
Sure, yeah, it's great to have Russ and Issac here this morning. Russ Dillon, he's an owner-operator with us. He's actually been a driver with us for 11 years, but has spent the last 6 years on our owner-operator fleet, purchasing a truck from us 6 years ago. He's from Boise, Idaho. He's married and has 6 grandkids that we're just learning about. He's got some athletes in his family, baseball players, golf players, just a good all-around guy. Then Issac Phillips, he's been with us, our team, for a number of years in different roles here, but most recently is director of our owner-operators and our driver development fleet. So he helps lead the team and provide the support needed for drivers like Russ.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for bringing those guys to the program here this morning. Issac, welcome.
Morning, Dave. Good to be on with you.
You know, I've said this about 1,000 times, but it's the first time I'm going to say it this year. And it might be a good way to kind of just get a general gist of the state of owner-operatorship. When I started in truck and radio, and everybody knows where I'm going here, but when I started in truck and radio back in 1972, the conventional wisdom in the industry was that the owner-operator is a thing of the past. And here we are 40 plus years later, talking to the director of the owner-operator program with an owner-operator. So in other words, that stigma, I guess, has just, it's been false all the way through. Where do you see owner-operatorship from your own standpoint, growing, shrinking, about the same? What are some of the things that you see on your radar?
You know, I really do see it growing, especially the last couple of years. I guess I date back here to 05, and I remember the recession in 07, 08, and everything kind of stayed stagnant. But, with freight picking up and the rates really starting to level out, there's been a lot more interest in, people purchasing their own trucks and getting into business for themselves. And, we've nearly doubled our owner-operator number here the last couple of years. So I think it's really headed in the right direction. And if somebody really crunches their numbers and has a good business plan laid out, I think there's a pretty good opportunity for success there.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. I mean, it's a team effort, isn't it?
It is. It really is. We've got, it takes a good driver, good owner-operator with a business sense, but at the same time, we've got a lot of resources in here with, dispatch and fleet management and safety and some different departments that really help guide the way. So.
Indeed, indeed. Well, Russ, welcome to the program, and thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Dave. It's good to be here.
Now, you've been on the road, off the road since 1982, so you've kind of been there, done that. So 11 years ago, you decide to go on with Crete. Now you're an owner-operator. When did that decision come about? When you joined up with Crete, did you have that in mind at the time, or is it something that kind of developed or kind of sprung on you one day? Kind of give us a little bit of the timeline as you developed into the owner-operator program.
Well, it's kind of been my idea for the get-go there, Dave. It was I'm kind of one of those guys that likes to be on my own, be my own boss, that type of thing. And I don't like to be told what to do most of the time, but it's, that way I can tell myself what to do, and I have to deal with my own mistakes. But anyway, I started out as a company driver, and they had a great program here at Crete, which I couldn't pass up. They have the finance company here and everything like that. It's totally different than some of these other companies that do lease purchase, and where you're pretty much bound to that payment, where this is more of just a purchase outright type program. And so you got a little skin in there. You got to put a little down payment on it, on the truck and everything, and then that way you're basically your own owner. And that makes a big difference, because they actually put your name on the title and the lease agreement and everything. So I mean, you can even put your own name on the truck, which is a good deal. And I guess they do that with the lease operators too, but it's not the same going in that aspect. But anyway, I decided that I wanted to do this years ago as an owner-operator, because I wanted the freedom to be able to go home when I wanted to. As a company driver, they kind of pretty much want you to stay out there, a certain amount of time, and as an owner-operator, you can go home whenever you want to. So that was one of the big things that really sold me. And I've got, like you came on earlier and said about the 6 grandkids. I've got grandkids that my wife and I like to go and visit with, and I've got a grandson that pitches baseball and college baseball, and so we like to travel around and watch him play games and that type of thing over in the Northwest. So it's just one of those things where I wanted that freedom to be able to do that, and so it's been a real good business for me, as far as the money situation is a lot better now, since the truck has been paid off. Of course, I don't have that payment overhead, but that makes it a lot easier for me to be able to take a little more time off. That's the whole thing about that is that time that everybody wants to be home, and as an owner operator, you have that flexibility to be able to do that when you want to.
Tim, Russ makes a real important distinction, and to the layman, it may not be very even noticeable. There's a difference between an owner-operator and a lease operator. One of the things that, and I think Isaac kind of alluded to this, Russ certainly did, is that if the American entrepreneur spirit is not dead, it's never going to die. It's probably alive and well in trucking, and maybe computers more than any place else, where you can start in your garage and build an empire in the computer world. You can start with one truck and build an empire in the trucking world, and you can still do that. But one of the beautiful things about trucking, Tim, and I'm going to get Isaac to pitch in on this too, is that you can kind of practice. What I mean by that is you can be a company driver and almost run a dummy company for a couple of years to see how it would work out if I was an owner-operator. Do you have folks that kind of do that sort of thing, Tim?
Absolutely, and Russ is very typical of that for us. And in fact, a lot of the drivers here come on board, drive as a company driver for, sometimes 6 months, sometimes closer to 6 years, as Russ did. And the great thing about it is, while our owner operators have some more freedom, as Russ mentioned, with respect to dispatch and what loads they take and when they go home, they're essentially running the same business as their company drivers. So when they're on board as a company driver, they kind of see what our freight is, what our freight flows are, what are the quality of shippers and receivers we have that's going to help keep them moving. And then they're able to buy essentially the truck they're in. In fact, a lot of our owner operators do buy the truck they're in as a company driver, and it is a true purchase program. We do. The owner gets equity in the game from the beginning. They have to save up some money for down payment, as Russ mentioned, but you do that easily as a company driver, and we even have a program to help company drivers save up money for that down payment. And then yes, their name's on the title. They're in the game here. Russ mentioned you have the freedom as an owner operator, but I think, as Isaac mentioned and he mentioned as well, is like us as Americans, with freedoms comes responsibility, and that's the same as an owner operator. With that freedom to go home, you still have responsibilities as a businessman or woman to make sure you are able to pay the bills, keep the truck maintained, do the things that a business owner would, and that's really where we also try to support our owner operators and helping them be that effective business person.
Where along, and I asked Russ about a timeline, Isaac, where along, let's take Russ for example, where along a timeline that Russ, in other words, a guy decides, hey, I think I'm going to try this ownership deal. Where do you come in on the timeline in terms of your personal involvement with a man or woman who is making that decision?
Yeah, really to Tim's point, we try to, have someone be here as a company driver just to make sure that Crete Schaefer is a good fit for them. And once we know that person's interested in being an owner-operator, whether they put the bug in our ear at orientation or call us after 6 months or a year, or whatever the time may be, we have a way of really going back and drilling down into, how many miles that person ran that year, what their average trip length was, their deadhead, what their insurance cost needs are, whether it's truck insurance, health insurance, plates, permits, all their sort of expenses, and put together, what their budget would have looked like for that past, whether it be 6 months, year, 2 years, 4 years in Russ's case, but, really drill down into the numbers and let them know what the difference would have been, income-wise as an owner compared to a company driver, and really let them weigh the pros and cons.
Are there some percentages, and this may be an unfair question, it's probably unexpected, but let's say how many out of, 100 or so do you say, you know what, this is not right for you? I mean, it's not right for everybody. What kind of percentages make it, go into it and make it, and those that you're saying, you know what, why don't you either wait a little while, or you're just not going to be a small business owner, let's, right off the bat. Do you have that situation occur?
We don't have a real percentage type number on that, but there definitely are the cases. I mean, there's drivers that have been here for 20, 30 plus years that are, they're getting close to retirement, and it really just doesn't make a, good business sense for them to, start up their own company at that point. Or, maybe there's some people that are too new into the game and a little green, behind the ears, and just really need to have a better grasp of the industry before they make that jump. So, that's where we've got a couple people here in the office that really help develop that person's business, and we've developed an owner-operator business class for some of those people that are either already owner-operators or interested in being owner-operators, and trying to get them all the good information so they can make the best educated decision for themselves. So.
Boy, absolutely. You want to know then and not later, that's for sure. Russ, there's a great old Justin Wilson story, and I'll just kind of get right to the heart of it. It's about these two teenagers. They're in a car, bench seat. She's snuggled up against him. He's got one arm around her and one arm on the wheel, half doing two jobs. And I kind of want to use that as a jumping off point into how you are managing your business while you're on the road. Driving the truck, taking care of the load, making your schedules, taking care of weather, blah, 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 blah. There's so much to do as a driver. And then all of a sudden, you're a business owner. How do you manage your business while you're on the road?
Well, a lot of it, the technology has helped a lot, Dave. I mean, it's, you've got access on your phone where you can do all your accounts and everything like that. So that's really helped me as far as that goes. But as far as managing my business, I don't have a lot of worries because a lot of it is done through Crete. So it's not a major issue as far as that goes because I don't have to look for the loads. Other than they'll throw me 2 or 3 load offers or something like that, so I don't have to worry about searching freight or anything like that. It's usually pretty available most times through Crete, and so that's one of the headaches that you don't have to worry about through being an owner operator with a big fleet corporation type company, and so that helps tremendously there. As far as the maintenance goes, that type of thing, I try to usually get into the Crete shops, that type of thing, to help with the cost factors because they're their labor rates are so much lower than out on the road. I mean, you're looking at $150 an hour in most shops today, as compared to, I think we're paying somewhere around $60-70 an hour for labor costs in a Crete shop. They won't do any of the major repairs, so we've got some shops that we hit. As far as that goes, in some of the Detroit shops, so I've got a Detroit engine, and I'll go to a Detroit shop. They'll give me Crete's labor rate, which is substantially lower than $40 an hour lower than the major rate. So anyway, that helps as far as that goes, and so the worry isn't quite there as much when you're working for a big corporation like this, and so I really don't have any problems with it as far as the business aspect goes, because I know that I can rely on Crete to kind of help me out, or Crete and Schaefer. I'm sorry, I need to throw that little in there, but I don't have to worry about it quite as much because I know that I've got the backing of the big company.
Well, the thing of it is that, Tim, even if you are totally out on your own with no attachment to a fleet, you're still going to have a network of people working with you. I mean, there's no such thing as just doing it all by yourself. I don't know that there ever was, but there certainly isn't now.
No, you're right. I mean, certainly with the environment we live in, with some of the additional regulatory requirements that there are, some of the safety requirements there are, the tax accounting requirements that there are, as Russ mentions with technology, that can be, a saving grace, but it also can mean you have to do some more work to ensure you're compliant, because there's more ways for the government agencies to ensure you are. So you have to do some more due diligence in that piece. And so, we do try to help our owners with that, because we know that can be a challenge. We do partner up with some tax companies to help us provide that service for our owner operators as well, because last thing you want to do is go out there, work hard, make your truck payments, get some equity in a truck, start to own your truck, and then realize maybe you didn't do some things right with Uncle Sam or otherwise, and you get the knock on the door saying, hey, you didn't do these taxes right, we need to charge you a bunch of back fees and other things for that. So it is your business, and you do have a lot of things you do really have to ensure you have your thumb on, and our goal is to help ensure you know all those things and provide you avenues to do that in a simple way.
Isaac, I wanted to ask you, and I'm going to kind of set this up too, as I did with the great Justin Wilson thing about half doing two jobs. I've always loved that line. But some of the biggest names in trucking, and other areas too, some of the biggest names started their companies in the depths of the Depression of the 1930s. And I guess conventional wisdom would say, wait a minute, that's the worst possible time to do anything. So is there a good time, a bad time? Does it make any difference? How do you gauge in terms of when is a good time to become an owner-operator? Is it about the individual? Is it about time of year? Is it about what the markets are doing, what freight is doing? Or is it all of the above or none of the above?
I'd say it's all the above. It's really where somebody's at individually, whether they're at a spot in their life and have some extra funds, available to support that business. The economy and that type of thing, it's a guessing game for a lot of people out there. So, you're never going to find the ideal time. Sometimes you just have to be as prepared as you possibly can and make that, educated jump. And that's where I think we try to do as much as we can to try to make sure that folks that are interested in doing this are as educated as they possibly can, and are utilizing a lot of our different partnerships that we have out there. Whether it's warranty companies, tax services, help with permits type things, and just take a lot of the weight off people's backs. Russ and a lot of the owner operators out there, the last thing they want to do after being out on the road 3-4 days is sit at home and do 2 days of paperwork, getting all their receipts entered and their taxes caught up and all that type of stuff done. So, when they take their time off, we want them to be able to relax and spend that time with their family. So, I guess, to your point, it's kind of all the above, and then just where somebody's at in their personal life. So.
Well, we've only got about a minute left or so. Russ, I want to kind of give you the last word here. I would imagine that some of the company drivers there at Crete Schaefer talked to you about this. So what advice would you give to company drivers out there that are thinking of becoming an owner-operator?
Well, a lot of them are worried about whether or not they get enough freight to make the payments and that type of thing. And so I reassure them that there's always been freight with Crete. Every time I've, had to sit or something like that, they may end up having to, I might have a little more deadhead or something like that to get to where the freight is. But I've never had any problems with staying busy with Crete. And as far as jumping into the business, they've got to have a little bit of, I would say a little background and financial type of, being able to run numbers and know exactly what kind of money they're looking at as far as that goes. But I really wouldn't. I wouldn't discourage anybody. A lot of these guys say that they've been owner operators before and it hasn't worked out for them. But there's a reason it didn't, and that's maybe they need to search and find out why it didn't work for them. But I can't see any reason. As long as you have a little business savvy, that there isn't any reason that somebody can't make this work.
Russ, thank you so much for taking time to be with us here this morning. Russ Dillon, Issac Phillips, Director of the Owner Operator Program there at Crete. Thank you for your insight. And Tim Aschoff, as always, thanks for being with us, and thanks for bringing Russ and Issac to the program today.
Great to be on. Thanks for sharing some information about, as you said, one of the last ways to really experience the American dream in a pretty relatively simple way. Still open market out there for drivers to become owner operators.
Indeed. We'll see you in March.
Sounds great.